It all started a few months ago with a video idea. Why are there so many different types of guitar pick? I was planning on testing as many types of pick as I could. From the standard stuff we've all used like Tortexes and those bargain bin cellulose ones that you get for free in guitar stores, all the way up to the expensive Fender sterling silver ones that 9 out of 10 dentists recommend. As I started testing and looking for new picks to try, I came across a brand that you might have seen, Jaketto Picks. They hand make thick ass boutique picks, but I wanted to know if there was really a benefit to using a super thick pick for my riffs, so I added them to the test list and I ordered a couple. I also got in touch with Jack at Jaketto Picks, who's an absolute legend, because I wanted to let him know about what I intended to do with the video, and he was super down for it. That'll be important in a minute. Anyway, a couple of weeks pass and I am hard at work in the lab testing picks and putting them through their paces, so to speak, when a package arrived. My Jaketto Picks had arrived, so I started using them straight away, and I very quickly realised that everything I thought I knew about guitar picks was a lie. But here's where something cool happened. I didn't want to make a video right away because I wanted to make sure that there was actually a benefit and I wasn't just imagining it right. You know, like when you get a new guitar and it is the absolute best guitar you've ever played in your life. I wanted to know for certain that these picks were right for me, but month on month, my Jaketto Picks collection kept steadily growing. Every time I got paid, I bought 2 new Jaketto Picks, and now I've got all these, and I even gave 2 away to my best mate, and he loves them as well. And as my collection grew, I found more and more benefits and became completely certain that these were the picks that I needed. At this point, I couldn't go back to using regular picks because there were just no benefits to any of the ones that I tested. They were basically just cheap pieces of plastic in comparison to these. Me and Jack had kept in touch throughout this process, and long story short, that resulted in the opportunity for me to become a Jaketto Picks artist, which is crazy. I've always said I'm not going to do endorsements and stuff unless I genuinely love and use the gear. Like, if only I could tell you how many brands have been in touch to get me to do positive reviews on some bullshit stuff. Taking this endorsement was an absolute no-brainer though, because these picks are so good, and I'm going to tell you exactly why in case they can help you as much as they've helped me. So yeah, please be aware while you're watching this video that I am a Jaketto Picks artist. I'm not flexing, I promise. But this video is not sponsored and I've not got any free stuff to promote to you in it. The picks I'm using were all bought with my own money, and I'm not being paid to wear this shirt either, I just like it. The hand beveled and polished shape of the Mini Osprey, which is the pick that I like most from Jaketto Picks, is by far the most important aspect of these picks and just something that you can't get on regular ones. Now, it cuts me deep to admit this in a public forum, but I am not the perfect guitarist. I know, it's a shock to us all, but my alternate picking absolutely sucks, dude. It's probably the biggest gap in all my playing, and it's not for lack of trying to improve. The thing is, I backwards pick. What that means is I basically tilt the pick backwards in my grip rather than using the traditional forwards grip. I don't know why, but that's how I learned, and it was years after I started playing guitar that I realised that my pick grip was less than conventional, but like, it's hardwired into my muscle memory now. Although it should be said, it's not uncommon. Earlier England grips is picked like this, Tosin and Bassi does, and it's super common in like gospel and soul guitar players as well. It's always been a stumbling block for me though, but the bevel design of these picks has been life changing for me, dude. The bevel means that it doesn't matter so much at what angle the pick contacts the string, as it'll still pass through and get a super clear note. That is a game changer for me, man. It reduces resistance when the pick strikes the string and always glides through super easily. For anyone at all that has any sort of difficulty with clean and fast alternate picking, these are so good. And that extends to just how usable the pick is for everything. With regular thinner picks, it's super common for players to find that the pick hangs up on the strings because they're flatter than like Cardi B's vocals without auto-tune.
Because
that issue just doesn't exist here, man. You can feel just how well thick picks strike the strings, and it makes a significant all-round difference to your playing. Gallops are easier, string skipping's easier, just like everything, dude. The next massive benefit is just how comfortable it actually is to grip a thick pick. It's something that we all overlook because we've all been psychologically conditioned by big plectrum to expect our picks to be wafer thin, but they're just not comfortable. It takes significantly more effort to keep a good hold of a regular pick than it does these chunky boys. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about, with regular picks slipping around in your fingers and needing to be readjusted all the time and just being a massive pain in the ass. With Jakettos, you've actually got something to hold on to, and that reduces overall tension in your picking hand, meaning that you can pick faster and for longer without getting worn out. That can only be a good thing because less tension means better playing. If you're trying for your life to keep hold of a regular pick, then you're putting far too much effort into that and not enough into playing cleanly, or at least I was. And these picks They just don't move. I don't know about you, but let's take like Tortex for example. Tortexes just will not stay put in my fingers and they slip around like mad, and slippery picks are just more annoying than like TikTok prank channels and shit. Jakettos just don't slip at all. They stay in my grip exactly where I want them without any sort of movement, and that is a massively overlooked aspect to choosing a pick. Thicker picks just sound better. No, I'm not going to go on some sort of deranged rant about how the smallest detail can affect your guitar's tone. Like the fucking dudes will swear blind that if your guitar was sprayed with nitro by a 40-year-old man on a Tuesday afternoon, it'll have a warmer, creamier tone. There's just cork sniffing, man. Use an EQ. Anyway, the reason thicker picks like Jakettos sound better is because of the way that they make contact with the string. With a regular pick, how thin they are results in a much shallower edge, and that means that thin picks are way more likely to sound scratchy and thin as they make contact with your string windings. What I found with my Jaketto picks is the thickness allows for that bevel that I talked about earlier, which is absolutely crucial for removing any sort of scratchiness that you get with a regular pick. Aside from just being a more pleasant experience when you're actually playing, it's super good for removing any sort of harshness or excess string noise when you're recording your guitars. You still get a definite pick attack, which I like, but with a more full sounding note afterwards that's free of any like scrapey, scratchy shit. Also, these picks are louder. Now, I got a B in physics at school, so that certainly doesn't qualify me to do any calculations and tell you exactly why this is, but I think it comes down to the mass of the pick. Force plus mass and all that bollocks that I didn't really pay any attention to. Anyway, I think that more mass hitting the strings results in a louder note, and that's good for two reasons. One, it means you don't have to play as hard and wear yourself out. Two, it's a super common thing in music recording where people will EQ the shit out of their guitars or their vocals because they think it's missing something or needs something, when actually it just needed to be a couple of decibels louder. Loud just sounds better, and I'm sure we can all agree on that. By now you've probably heard somebody talk about economy of motion when you're playing guitar. All it basically means is the smaller a movement is, the quicker and cleaner you'll be able to play. It's the same idea as like keeping your fingers as close to the fretboard as you can when you're playing it so that you can fret notes quicker, which my double jointed pinky finger will not listen to at all. When it comes to picking, a regular thin pick has more distance to travel between strings than a thicker one does. Let's say that the distance between strings on your guitar is about 9mm and the regular pick that you're using is 1mm thick. That means that when you hit a note on one string and want to move to the other, it's got another 8mm to travel, and that's 8mm of time for you to bring your pick over to the next string and hit that note. But if you're using a thick pick like this one for instance that's 7mm, that means it's only got another 2mm to travel to get to the next string. See what I'm getting at? Obviously the mathematics is far more complicated than how I'm explaining it, and there are loads of other factors to consider like playing style and stuff, but I am not the person to be doing those calculations. All I know is that the thickness of these picks means that I don't have to move my picking hand as much, and that has helped me a fucking ton, dude. Next time you're watching your favourite guitar players rip through a solo or a fast alternate pick line, check their right hand. Obviously some guys like absolutely blast their alternate picking like Zach Wilde. But if we're talking about dudes like Yngwie, their playing is always super clean, and it's because of those really small movements. If something as simple as a plectrum can help you get closer to that technique, then f***ing sign me up, dude. Next, regular picks wear down pretty quickly. One day you decide to get a fresh pick out of the pack, and within a week the sides have worn down and you're not getting the playing experience you want anymore. After 2 weeks the tip is all rounded off and then your playing sounds like complete shit, so you get another pick out and the cycle just continues. These picks are made from a whole host of materials that just do not seem to wear down, dude. I've got like 3 favourites that I use a lot, and they are just all still as perfect as when I received them. Plus the materials that Jack uses to make these picks make them look super cool, and they're all completely unique, so there's no one else in the world that'll have the exact same pick as you, which I think is sick. Over time the durability of these picks is gonna save you money because you don't have to keep replacing them. When you think like these are 20 to 25 pounds unless you decide to splash out on a really expensive one, that could be 25 quid that you've spent on picks for the rest of your life. That's more money in your pocket for the essentials like new strings or framed pictures of Jennifer Lawrence. I mean like tab books for bands and songs that you want to learn. Those are 5 massive benefits of using these thick boys from Jaketto Picks compared to the absolute 0 benefits I got from using regular picks. Remember, I'm not getting paid for this, but I will gladly tell everyone I know about them all day long free of charge just because of how fucking good they are. Stop settling for a bullshit piece of plastic with a fucking turtle on and try one of these, dude. Your picking hand deserves better.